The police in Accra had to intervene to restore order to Tiptoe Lane at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle on Tuesday after some shops there were broken into. The Ghanaian owners of their shops accused their Nigerian counterparts of being behind the break-ins and attempted retaliation by vandalizing their wares. A row between the two parties over the right to sell at the popular street shopping hub has already led to heightened tensions. Efwa Evans Chinri was there in our reports.
At around 4 a.m. Tuesday, about 30 shops belonging to some Ghanaians were broken into and destroyed at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle, Tiptoe Lane. These outraged shop owners suspected their Nigerian counterparts and went on the rampage. The Nigerian traders were compelled to shut their shops. The Ghanaian traders said they suspect Tuesday dawn's break-in is a prelude to the demolition of their shops to make way for a new building they believe is owned by Nigerians.
I had a call from one of the guys around 5 a.m. that people are here destroying our properties. I said, what is going on? So I rushed. I didn't even bath. I didn't do any. I rushed here only to come and see AMA sub-metro chief. I learned he's called Chief Alasan with some men destroying our properties all over. We sell phones and laptops here. Everything is gone. We asked what is happening, and we were told that we don't know. He couldn't tell us anything. He said he's rather here to protect us. I said, if you are here to protect us, how come the people are destroying our tent? You are standing here. So in fact, we didn't allow him to go. We arrested him here, and then we called the authorities. But what is going? This thing started some months back. We reported this issue. We demonstrated against it. When they started this building, we were told that it was unlawful for them to put on the building over there. But we don't know. They've gone to bribe their way out. They've bribed all the people there, all the authorities involved.
Yeah, this morning I was in the house before somebody called me that I should come to Circle. What's the reason? They said some people are demolishing our shops. So if I don't come earlier, they will destroy all our properties and the goods. So I have to take motorbike and come. So when I got here, this is what I came to meet. They've broken all the metal door. They've broken my drawer. This is a drawer. Look at the drawer. They've broken the drawer. I have money inside. And my iPhone X, over 5 pieces, they have taken it. My glasses, they have taken everything. My laptop over here, they have taken it. You don't know who are they? I mean the person they are. Will you imagine that? So we tried calling the AMA boss. And when I came, I met him standing over there. He was saying that he is watching over the place, that nobody will take anything from here. Meanwhile, you brought the bus to come here. And before we could come here, ordered the bus to run away.
Representatives of the traders who appeared on the poll said they would not allow the shops to be taken over.
Now it looks as if the Nigerians are using the police and those in authority to intimidate we the Ghanaians.
Is that how you feel?
That is how we feel. We feel intimidated. We feel like we are being taken for like a laughing stock because they see us. We try to agitate. Then the next moment the police come in and then they bring things down, and before you realize they have opened their shop again. Now we are not going to tolerate that again. And if they are not going to fight for us, we are going to fight for ourselves.
Nigerian shop owners Joy News spoke with denied the claims, but explained they had to close their shops for fear of being attacked.
What happened? I'm very shocked. I don't know what happened. I just came in and entered my shop and prayed. So within a short while, some groups of guys just penetrated inside my shop and destroyed everything down. Pushed everything down. Everything was scattered. So many.
Try to find out why they're doing that.
I'm confused. They did not give me the orders. I was like trying to ask them why, what happened. They didn't give us orders. They was like even wanted to cause beyond.
They did it aggressively, I guess. Did you try to fight back?
Pardon?
They did it aggressively. I mean, they came in aggressively. Did you try to fight back?
I didn't fight anybody. I was like asking, what happened, please, what happened? Because I don't know anything. I was just sitting down in my shop when the whole incident was going on.
So what did you lose? Or what was destroyed in your shop?
I lose a lot.
Like what?
My goods now. I lose a lot. I have not gone into stock check.
What specifically do you sell here?
We sell phone accessories here.
So you lost how many phones? Can you tell me?
I can't say for now because they forced us to lock up our shops.
So it looks like you're not ready to open the shop now.
They not allow us. They say we shouldn't open our shop for now.
Have you contacted the police?
We are just looking after them for now.
Henry Quarter is Member of Parliament for Ayawaso Central. He expressed disappointment and promised the traders whose property were destroyed to keep calm, whilst officials get to the bottom of the matter.
There is no intention by my government, by myself as a Member of Parliament, to demolish shops. In events where that will even happen, I believe that we are in a democratic environment. There should be close collaboration, engagement between ourselves and the traders, and that will do. Now, I'm picking something at the background about Nigerians. We have trade relations, bilateral arrangements with other countries, and I don't think that Ghana would want to begin to treat Nigerians as not human beings. So I want to plead with my circle traders, and I leave that in the hands of the Assemblyman to see how, again, they can engage them, so that what we need is their welfare, is peace in the area, and then a free market where everybody can make ends meet.
There was significant police presence at the time Joy News visited.
Exactly a year ago, Ghanaians woke up to news of the shutdown of two banks the Bank of Ghana said had become insolvent. Though there have been speculations about the boardroom maneuvering and infractions that brought Capital Bank and UT Bank to its knees, it was only recently that the leaked Central Bank report laid bare the extent to which managers mishandled depositors' funds. Tonight we bring you a recap of the initial bank's collapse that many say has seriously undermined the public's confidence in the country's financial sector.
On Monday, August 14, 2017, the Bank of Ghana announced the complete takeover of UT and Capital Bank Limited by the GCB Bank Limited after revoking the licenses of the two commercial banks. The central bank attributed its sanctions to the severe impairment of the capital of the two banks, adding that it approved a purchase and assumption P&A transaction involving the banks to protect depositors' funds and strengthen Ghana's financial sector. Addressing a news conference in Accra, the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, emphasized that no depositor will lose his or her funds and all depositors can continue to do normal banking businesses with GCB Bank. The Bank of Ghana subsequently served notice that it will thoroughly investigate operations of UT Bank and Capital Bank and take appropriate action against shareholders, directors and key management personnel who are found to be culpable for the undercapitalization of the two banks. The then head of banking supervision, Raymond Amanfo, speaking on Joy News' upfront, said the central bank will ensure those found culpable after investigations will be sanctioned according to law.
What specifically are they expected to do?
One, what we are saying is that they should review the corporate governance issues in this bank. How were decisions taken?
The two or one? Both?
Both.
Okay, that's clear.
How were decisions taken? Were there any infractions on the rules? Right? Were there any insider abuse? Why these decisions were made? Who made those decisions? Were they board decisions? Were they an individual's decision? Was it the CEO? Who made those decisions?
So they are to find out whether something went wrong.
Yeah, that's the point.
But so far, do we have any reason to believe something went wrong?
Raymond, you can't have a bank planned so deep without something going wrong.
But
you have to put your hand. Well, like I said, we have reviewed the loan book. We have reviewed investment made. We think that some investment decisions went bad.
Okay, but you have to establish whether they were made in good faith or bad faith.
That is it.
In the days that followed, premises of UT Bank and Capital Bank were rebranded as branches of GCB Bank, with all customers continuing normal banking business at these branches.
I'm currently standing in front of the Capital Bank headquarters on the Spintex Road. We've been here since about 7:30 this morning, and security seems to be quite tight on the compound. We've spoken to some workers, and they've told us, they've informed us that GCB officials are there going through their systems.
We understand GCB has taken over the bank and logos are being changed to GCB. The flag of UT Bank has been replaced with a flag of GCB Bank. It is unclear yet what is going to happen to staff of the company. But earlier on, I engaged some staff who were telling me that, yes, they are kind of scared because they don't know what the future might be. Others too are hopeful that their appointment or their contract are still intact.
The development was part of moves by government through the Bank of Ghana to restructure the banking industry. Analysts attributed the dramatic turn of events in the banking industry to several reasons. Meanwhile, months down the lane, President of UT Holdings and CEO of UT Bank, Prince Kofi Amoabeng, told Joy Business he has learned a lot of lessons from the collapse of UT Bank and will bounce back stronger.
I don't feel too bad about it. I think it's the state institutions that are working. There's a bit about the process which I felt wasn't necessary, but it's all okay. We're taking our stride and we'll try to do something else.
Any lessons learned?
A lot of lessons. And in life, you never stop learning, so anything which happens, reflect on it, take it in good faith and move on.
Do you hope to come back?
I certainly will come back. I'm Johnny Walker. I keep working.
In the midst of the chaos, the fate of workers in the two banks hung on the balance. As in the words of the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union, the Ghana Commercial Bank is not obliged to keep them. At least about 50% of the workers of UT and Capital Banks were projected to be laid off following the acquisition by GCB Bank. Almost a year on, the central bank last week issued a report indicating several high-profile directors of the banks used a carefully spun web of related party transactions to grant huge loans to themselves and their associates. The report also revealed that there was also a significant amount of intergroup lending involving other subsidiaries of the holding company UT Holdings, while connected party loans were made to some companies. A financial autopsy report into the collapse of the Capital Bank also revealed that its majority shareholder used 80 million Ghana cedis of depositors and public funds for his personal piggy bank. Mr. Atuesien, who founded the bank, quote, flouted all banking and risk management rules, unquote, in the management of monies saved there by its customers.
Now, the General Overseer of the International Central Gospel Church, who was the former board chairman of Capital Bank, has broken his silence on the developments that have on the Bank of Ghana report that was released in the last few weeks, and we're going to be sharing with you excerpts of his statement. So he says, I accepted to be board chairman of Capital Bank in a bid to help strengthen a promising Ghanaian enterprise that had potential but also challenges. And then he goes on to say, I was excited about the prospects of a young man from a disadvantaged background who was daring to create opportunities and employment. In this case, he was referring to the managing director of the now defunct Capital Bank at ASEAN. My position was a non-executive role. I was therefore not involved in the day-to-day management and operations of the bank. And then some decisions may turn out well, while some did not turn out as well as had been anticipated. As far as I can tell, everything was done with the best of intentions and the interests of various stakeholders in mind. My foremost concern, as has been the case over the past years, for the well-being of those who lost their jobs and those who may have been adversely affected in any way as a result of these developments. My heart goes out to them and to their dependents. I continue to pray for God's guidance and sustenance as they navigate the course of their lives. And then he indicated or confirmed the fact that he has been invited by Yoko and that he has submitted himself to their processes and answered all their questions faithfully. as a believer in the rule of law, I will continue to cooperate with mandated institutions of state as they complete their investigations. So those were excerpts of a statement from the General Overseer of the International Central Gospel Church, who was also the board chairman of the now defunct Capital Bank. A number of events have taken place since the collapse of UT Bank and Capital Bank. 5 more banks have gone the same route, and the Economic and Organized Crimes Office has thoroughly investigated the case of the first 2 and handed over its findings to the Attorney General. Most of the ex-staff who were laid off are, however, yet to get their severance package and are struggling to make ends meet. Joy News has been speaking with 2 such former employees of Capital Bank who say it's been tough finding jobs because of the stigma of having been part of a failed bank. On the statement from the former board chairman of the bank, Pastor Mensa Otabil, they said though they appreciate his kind words, they would rather he use his influence to get their severance paid. There's more in this report.
Since losing their jobs at the now defunct Capital Bank, life has been difficult for these 2 former employees. They wish to remain anonymous, so we cannot show you their faces or tell you their names. One of them was an area manager at one of the branches in Accra. He now makes a living as an Uber driver.
Personally, I've been trying to get back into the industry, but I've had a lot of difficulty getting into the industry because, unfortunately for us, it has become like a slur on us. You go anywhere and once they find out you are from Capital Bank, the question is, so what did you do to prevent the collapse of the bank, and what could you have done, and why didn't you do something to prevent? You know, it just gets a bit confusing and quite depressing. So, I mean, since we were let go, we've been trying without success, and for now, we just try to make ends meet by trying to do jobs here and there. Personally, I try to do some transport business, and hoping that it will bring me some respite.
He tells Joy News it's been difficult providing for his family.
We survive on the proverbial magic of the Ghanaian. You wake up in the morning and you just pray to God that you get something to put on your table.
The other, a woman, is still jobless.
It's not been easy for me. It is just by the grace of God. At times you don't even know where your next meal will come from, because this came to us as a shock. So it wasn't something that you would say that, okay, yes, you've been working for some years, so you prepared for it or anything like that. But 1 year down the line, you've been living off your savings and everything.
Both of them, like many other former workers of the defunct bank, have still not received their severance package a year after the bank collapsed.
The discussions were completed in January this year. We were hoping that at least by this time, the payment would have been made. But unfortunately, it hasn't happened till now. We have engaged the receiver, that's PwC, on the payments, but till now, nothing has been received and nothing has been said.
Today, people are so down, they have nothing. So we are just asking that whoever is responsible, be it PwC, be it BOG, be it the government of Ghana, please reach out to us, help us. We need our exit space.
Former board chairman of the collapsed bank, Pastor Mensa Otabil, has come out to sympathize with workers who lost their jobs. In a statement, the founder of International Central Gospel Church, ICGC, expressed concern for the well-being of the former workers and their dependents. But those who are still jobless and feeling the devastating impact of the collapse want Pastor Otabil to do more than just express sympathy for their predicament.
Based on what he himself said in the statement, that he commiserates with the staff, I would also suggest that if he can use his good offices to help fast track or speed up us trying to get our exit pay, it will be extremely appreciated, because as of now we are at our wits' end, and given that 5 banks have also come into the same soup, 60 days down the line some people may be coming to join us, and what happens then? And that is the point of fear.
We're taking a break here on Joy News Prime. Still ahead, we're bringing you business news, and in business news, Men's Gold boss Nana Mensah apologizes for his public utterances and exchanges with the Bank of Ghana and promises to work with all relevant government agencies. Business news is next. Stay tuned.
Time for business now. Good evening and welcome. Owner and Chief Executive of gold dealership firm Men's Gold, Nana Mensah, is apologizing to the Bank of Ghana over his reaction to the recent statement by the central bank. There's more in this report.
It is not clear for now what might have influenced this response from Nana Mensah after months of back and forth with the regulator on whether his business was indeed engaged in deposits taken without the Bank of Ghana's approval. But sources say it could be after he was confronted by officials of the central bank on the issues. The Bank of Ghana, in a statement recently, advised the public not to transact business with Men's Gold because it had no license to take deposits from the public. But this did not go down well with Chief Executive of Men's Gold, Nana Mensah, who in a Twitter post ridiculed the regulator, describing its action as a joke. However, in a latest post on his Twitter handle, Mr. Mensah said, quote, "Owing to the fallible nature of man, I sincerely apologize for my initial reaction to the Bank of Ghana's press release." Touching on recent engagements between Men's Gold and the Bank of Ghana, Nana Mensah again wrote, quote, "We've engaged and are cooperating with the Bank of Ghana and other state agencies to cordially resolve in the interest of our beloved Republic of Ghana. Hashtag Ghana shall prosper," unquote.
Dean of the National Banking College, Dr. Francis Sasreku, is calling on the Chartered Institute of Bankers Ghana to disclose identities of members involved in the management of 7 banks whose licenses were revoked recently by the central bank. This, he believes, will make the work of law enforcement agencies easier in ensuring that all who contributed to the loss of the investments face the full rigors of the law. Dr. Sasreku believes this will also serve as a deterrent to prospective members of the institute. He made the remarks during a keynote address to launch a book on how UT and Capital banks collapsed. Ebenezer Sabuti has more.
It's been a year since the Bank of Ghana revoked the licenses of UT and Capital Bank. A year on, former staff member of UT Bank, Samuel Otre, documented the event which led to the process. According to the Dean of the National Banking College, Dr. Francis Sasreku, members of the Chartered Institute of Bankers Ghana, who played major roles in the day-to-day running activities of the various banks, should be brought to book. He believes that this will serve as a deterrent to other bankers and also help law enforcement agencies to apply the law on anyone found culpable. Dr. Sasreku made the remarks at the launch of the book titled Fate of Systematic Thinking.
I expect our parent professional body, the Chartered Institute of Bankers Ghana, to technically and effectively disclose the position of chartered bankers that were involved in the scheme, and then the legal acts must fall. As we have seen with ICA Ghana and other bodies, we also want to see the bankers that had condoned this kind of processes. The reason is that it will serve as a controlling tool, telling every professional banker that you cannot mess up the system. And it's done globally. So we await ACIB Ghana to also respond. Again, one of the key areas that I have seen from my empirical studies that seem not to be touched is the role of unions in promoting stability of our banks. I can assure you, if our unions in our banks had not been very positive, probably the level of decadence and the level of failures might have been worse even before Dr. Addison had taken over.
Author of the book, Samuel Otre, in an interview with Joy Business, disclosed that the shift of focus in the business model contributed to the collapse of UT Bank.
It's the business model. 2 is what I call wolves in sheepskin, which is people, incompetent people, people who have no passion for the vision, and of course people who have integrity issues. The third thing is that risk management, which is understanding of what expectations are and the cost should be, and the misjudgment of the cost and the expectations.
limitations. We also need to appreciate the fact that there are godfathers. I think the mandate on auditors and the governance of Bank of Ghana, it all goes to something. These institutions are created to prevent these things from happening. And so our understanding of the causes cannot be without our discussions with the godfathers. And so having strung all the 7 things together, we would have these problems. And so that's my expectation of what it is.
Do you think there was a shift in the business model?
For UT Bank, I would say there was. I know for a fact that a certain understanding of the business model may have been misconstrued over time. And so, yes, there were some unsustainable business practice over time.
The Supervision Department of the Bank of Ghana has been blamed for its poor supervision rule, leading to the current state of the banking sector.
Away from that, with team members from 3 African countries, Growth Factor is leveraging on its diversity to design an innovative solution that will provide working capital to suppliers in the agricultural value chain. Growth Factor is our focus on KIC Profile today.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You made it to the second round.
Diversity, they say, brings strength. And this is evident in how far Team Growth Factor has come in the Cosmos Innovation Center AGRITECH Challenge. With members from Nigeria, South Africa and Ghana, the group has embraced its diversity, making it a force to reckon with.
We came down to Ghana for a particular program, a training program, and that was how we met. We've worked on several projects together, separately. Myself and Tsumi and Andy were working on projects together one time, and Tyron joined us. And we decided we were going to go as a team into the KIC program.
Networking, social media.
The group is providing working capital to suppliers in the agricultural sector.
If you do supply goods to a client, that pays you longer than, say, in 30 days, and you need your payment faster so you can buy more supply, maybe pay your salaries before the month is up. We take that invoice, we give you your payments now, so you can go take that money to go do any other thing you want to do. So by using this method to assist them, you're able to give them quick access to collateral, free working capital.
One thing we kept hearing was finance is a problem, finance is a problem. But we also know that from doing our previous research, we also found out that people don't easily invest in agriculture. One, because it's unpredictable. So you can invest, there are plenty of factors affecting it, the weather, and also would it give the returns that you expect at the end of the day. So we had to look into it and check at which aspects could we help someone in the agricultural space and say, okay, where would it be safe to say your returns will come back? And that's what led to us solving the problem.
And this is hard work, creating a prototype and making it ready before the final pitch.
We have a couple of suppliers, Greek suppliers that we're looking at onboarding between now and the end of next week. So we've been working tirelessly on it, and when we're close to completing it.
South African Itumeleng Mwahi says respect for one another has promoted a healthy relationship, which has enabled the group to work well and achieve better results.
A team is sort of like a chain. You need one to, but one needs the other to keep everything together. So whether your teammate is 50 years older than you, or your leader is 50 years older than you or younger than you, you still give them the same respect because they still hold the same throne, So you do not belittle or underestimate your leader, and you respect your teammates, because each one needs the other. So nobody's better than the other.
As part of the team building training, participants spent 2 days at the 4th Infantry Battalion in Kumasi. Organizers of the challenge, KIC, said the military drill was to instill discipline and foster cohesion among the young entrepreneurs who were yet to form permanent groups at the time. But for Kelvin, it was a tough experience.
We'd wake up in the morning, like in the AM, and run, take a drop at the military barracks. We do physical exercises like for part of the morning. Some of us were not even able to shower the whole day. You just be running around, up and down, going to a class. Next thing you know, someone screaming at you, you're outside, back on the field again. They explain to us how the military takes action, how they plan everything they do. They're able to explain to you how the military tactics can be applied to business.
Being part of the AGRITECH challenge has been satisfying.
KIC wasn't just, they're not just trying to educate you about agriculture, but as entrepreneurs, they expect you to come up with a solution, to a couple of problems that are in the industry. So for us, it was the journey has been great. In
terms of the exposure that we've received to be on the ground, experience things for ourselves, not just create a business from sitting in a room somewhere. We're actually able to engage with real problems on the ground. It's been a really great opportunity for us.
With their strength in numbers and diversity, Growth Factor is confident of grabbing the investment fund of $50,000 come October.
And that's all in business tonight. Thanks so much for watching. My name is Emmanuel Apuachi. Have a good evening.
The Ghana Police Service has announced a crackdown on the use of sirens by unauthorized vehicles. IGP David Asante Pietu said this at a news conference in Accra Tuesday. It follows concerns that vehicles, mostly Land Cruisers, sound their sirens to have their way on the road. At a news conference organized with the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, Mr. Pietu directed his officers to enforce the directive to the letter. Kinsley O2 has more.
This is not uncommon on Ghana's roads. If you own a Land Cruiser V8, you are a king. They are often seen driving at top speed in the next lane. For what may be described as a two-pronged attack, the Ghana Police Service, together with the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, says it is determined to end the abuse of sirens. In a press briefing held at the police headquarters, Inspector General of Police David Asante Pietu says the motor traffic regulations specify clearly vehicles and individuals allowed to use sirens.
The practice of illegal use of sirens poses a huge risk to unsuspecting road users, not to mention a disincentive to our collective fight against noise pollution. Sirens ordinarily should be alarm signals to herald vehicles on emergency missions. However, the developing reality is that several other public and private office holders and individuals illegally mount sirens on their vehicles to aid their movement, thereby bringing serious discomfort to other motorists and pedestrians. The DVLA and the Ghana Police Service are collaborating to change this disturbing trend. We wish to state emphatically that any person who contravenes this regulation commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of not more than 25 penalty units or to a term of imprisonment of not more than 30 days or both.
The Chief Executive Officer of the DVLA, Akwesia Jimanbuzia, says the DVLA will complement the effort of the police to achieve their purpose. He said the authority will now carry out checks and remove any unauthorized sirens in any vehicle that visits its offices before any form of documentation is done.
We are stakeholders of road safety, and we intend to collaborate, to work together with the police, the MTTD, to make sure whatever has been outlined by law is enforced. We will also, at the time of vehicle renewal, make sure these things are applied. We will inspect vehicles to make sure they don't have anything that is not mandated by law, which means the lights, the horns, those things not mandated by the LI, legislative instrument. Those people who come to us for renewals should understand that we will not tolerate that. We will take that out of their vehicles and probably prosecute them as well.
They hope this will be sustained to ensure discipline on the road. Kinsley O2's report for Joy News.
Parliament's Public Accounts Committee is recommending that government henceforth make specific budgetary provisions to take care of Ghanaians who get stranded abroad. This follows revelations by the Foreign Affairs Minister that the absence of such funds put pressure on staff at the embassies to sometimes fund such upkeep with your own monies. Foreign Affairs Minister Shirley Ayoko-Botwe has been interacting with Chairman of the Public Affairs Committee, James Savaji, at Tuesday's sitting.
Item for which you budget for. So it means that you've been misapplying other funds to take care of this.
Consular services can sometimes demand that you find the money. And indeed, Honorable Chairman, sometimes the officers even contribute their own resources to look after such persons. But it can happen because otherwise nationals will shout on every rooftop against us.
We have to make an argument for an expenditure line to be created for this purpose, so that you budget for it. If you budget for it, you don't utilize it, it still remains with us. Because when it comes to a point that the staff are asked to contribute, they do it on humanitarian grounds, but they have been affected. So I think that there's a need for us to create a budget line, so the ministry will have that budget appropriated every year for you to undertake this activity. So, Clerk, take note of that. It should be part of our recommendation to the House.
Staying at the committee hearings, the Ministry of Land, Employment and Labour Relations is demanding that the Finance Ministry immediately refund more than 200 million cedis it took from the accounts of the Youth Employment Agency in 2016 to help defray its arrears. According to the Employment Ministry, the Finance Ministry transferred the said amount from the YEA account at the Bank of Ghana without the YEA's consent. CEO of the YEA, Justin Kodia, gave a breakdown of the amount when he appeared before the Public Accounts Committee Tuesday.
With respect to the amount of 56,390,383.98, the money was taken from YEA accounts without even recourse to YEA. And it did not only happen once. If you look at Appendix 3, in somewhere 6 July 2017, we wrote a letter to Ministry of Finance to draw their attention to it. In the letter, on the 16th of June 2015, they took an amount of 150 million from the YEA account. On 30th September 2015, they took an amount of 56,390,388.98. Then on 22nd February 2017, they took an amount of 20 million from the YEA accounts. In total, the amount of 226,380,383.98 were taken from YEA accounts. We wrote a letter to Finance Ministry to seek refunds for those money. And only the 20 million which was taken in 2017 were refunded to us. The rest, our effort has not yielded any results.
According to the YEA Act, funding for the agency comes from 80% of the Communication Service Tax, 10% from the District Assembly's Common Fund, and money from GET Fund. The money was, however, moved by the Finance Minister then for other purposes. Minister for Employment and Labour Relations, Ignatius Bafwewa, says the money is needed by the YEA to clear current outstandings.
Operations of an organization like YEA is such that there's no way you can make 100% use of all monies available to you at one time. Releases sometimes are made on quarterly basis, and ahead of a quarter are expenditure that one cannot dodge. Because, for instance, you have recruited people, and then on monthly basis, you have to pay them. So if I have, say, 50,000 people that I have to pay at the end of the month, and then you do not take into consideration how much I may have to spend on monthly basis, and then you say that, no, you have this amount in your account, it is too big, I'm taking it off, you may be making a mistake. As we speak now, because of those withdrawals from YEA is accumulating arrears in terms of meeting the demands of beneficiaries. And it is actually a big toll on us. So I just want to plead that maybe you add your voice to ours so that we get Ministry of Finance to refund such monies to us. I want to assure you that if we get those refunds, we will be on time and then we will not accumulate any further arrears.
Chairman of Parliament's Public Accounts Committee, James Aveji, however, wants the ministry to concentrate on its latest budgetary approvals because he's unsure they will ever be able to recover the appropriated amount.
Time that the money was taken from the account, it was found that the money was just lying idle without use for me where government needed money. That doesn't mean that now you don't need the money, you need it. So it is the time now for government to look at what has been budgeted for you and government to release it to you on time. Because if you look at the bank statement that you gave from Bank of Ghana, that particular time where the 56 million was taken, it was every balance, all the balance in the account which was reversed. It wasn't that intentional to take portion of your money and leave the rest for you. They're taking everything, bringing the balance to zero. So that is why now, if Ministry of Finance can say that, oh, we have money for that matter, we'll give you the 56, not even 56, the 56 plus 150, which is over 200 million. If they have money and they give it to you, you use it for your activity. But if they don't, then what we are in 2018, I'm not sure even the budget that are being given to you is being released to you on time. That is also another problem. Why don't we concentrate and make sure that your balances are, your budget balances are released to you rather than chasing this one, which I'm not sure the Ministry of Finance will give it to you.
Former Managing Director of the Bulk Oil Storage and Transportation Company, Alfred Obeng, says contrary to suggestions he may have been removed for engaging in corrupt dealings, he has done no wrong. The boss was removed from office in June this year amidst a raft of corruption allegations at the state-owned firm. But Mr. Obeng says he's not perturbed by the president's decision to sack him and that he's glad the president didn't find any fault with him. In an interview with journalists at his hometown at Bibiani in the Western region, he accused some unnamed persons, he says, undermined him through false publications using the media and pressure groups.
I am not worried as such because there was no reason attached to the termination of my appointment. The president has the prerogative to appoint, all right, and terminate. And mine is not even sacking. It's termination of appointment, all right. And the reason they gave is that they are doing restructuring. And let me remind you, it's politics. Today I am out, tomorrow I may be called back. But the most important thing is that there was no criminal activity associated with me throughout my stay at BOSS for the 18 months. You all heard of the contaminated product issue. I think a committee was duly set and I was exonerated because all the allegation level against me, the contamination of the product even happened before I was appointed to BOSS. So as a matter of fact, there was no way they could rope me into that.
President Akufo-Addo has endorsed calls to maintain the purity of the Christian doctrine. The president was responding to submissions by General Superintendent of the Assemblies of God Church, Ghana, on the subject. Reverend Professor Paul Frimpong-Manso expressed concerns about the emergence of false prophets and charlatans who deceive and cheat their congregation in the name of the Holy Spirit. He was speaking at the 29th Biennial General Council meeting in Kumasi. Oheminteria has more in the following report.
Reverend Frimpong-Manso asked government and other stakeholders to intervene and save Ghanaians from the hands of such false prophets. He noted charismatic and Pentecostal churches have been blinded by activities of characters who are bent on destroying the image of God. He also warned ministers of the Assemblies of God Ghana to disassociate themselves from the false prophets and charlatans.
We, the charismatics and the Pentecostals, have been branded with all this kind of charlatans, and it is destroying the image of God. So Assemblies of God as one of the Classical Pentecostals and a key member of Ghana Pentecostal Charismatic Council want to speak it loud that we do not agree, we do not accept, we do not compromise with the wrong teachings in the name of the Holy Spirit, deceiving and cheating vulnerable people in our country. And I'm telling and addressing our pastors, have nothing to do with these people. Don't bring them to your churches. Many people have asked me, what is the GPCC doing? The Constitution of the land permits freedom of religion. But that Constitution also gives the president and the leadership of this country the mandate to protect the citizens.
Professor Frimpong Manson recommends one-man churches be compelled to belong to one of Christian Council of Ghana, Ghana Pentecostal Council, or the National Council of Charismatic Churches. He also advocates licensing of the ministers of the gospel before they are allowed to operate.
Do I believe in setting a religious body to oversee these things? Yes and no. Yes, in that we have Christian Council of Ghana, Ghana Pentecostal Council, Catholic Council, National Council of Charismatic Churches. See how Ghana Medical Council is organized. See how the legal council, the lawyers, of which His Excellency is a member, is organized. I wish that the pastors who are operating as low rangers and sometimes businessmen should be placed under some of these bodies, or they are not given a license to operate. The Bible says there will be a time people will say, Lord, in your name we prophesy, we did miracles, we did this. And the Lord will say, I know you not, you workers of iniquity. So I'm appealing that we should not follow people because of the miracles and the signs and wonders they are doing. The prophets of the magicians of Pharaoh did the same in Egypt.
President Akufo-Addo, who was the special guest speaker, says he's encouraged by the call, adding it has come at the right time.
I'm very, very encouraged by the call for the maintenance of the purity of the Christian doctrine. It's very welcome at a time when we're hearing all kinds of strange statements being made ostensibly in the name of Jesus Christ. Again, the example of the Assemblies of God and its pastors on matters of tax is a very positive example for everybody in the country.
From Kumasi, for Joy News, Oimintiria reports.
The wife of the Vice President, Samira Bawumia, is calling for a concerted effort to end sexual and gender-based violence. Samira Bawumia was speaking at the launch of a coalition of people against sexual and gender-based violence and harmful practices, COPASH. She noted individual efforts, though commendable, cannot achieve the desired goal of a sexual violence-free community, hence the need for non-governmental organizations, religious leaders and individuals to come together under a single umbrella. Faustina Safo has more in the following report.
In Ghana, more than 38% of adolescent girls between the ages of 15 and 19 are reported to have experienced at least one act of sexual violence. Non-governmental organizations, religious leaders, individuals and even government have over the years tried to stem the trend through social campaigns and enactment of laws, but the impact has been minimal. Second Lady Samira Bawumia believes a concerted effort will do the magic.
We know a lot of effort has been put in towards this cause. Former First Lady, when she was in office, she really worked hard. We were young then and we're looking up to her. And she did a lot in terms of work with gender. And I remember the Beijing conference. And the ball has been rolling, but a lot of it has also been rolling in different directions. So now we're saying, let's bring everybody together. Let's have a concerted approach. Let's see what people are investing, what people's interests are, those working within that space, and let's see how we can harmonize the work, how we can draw synergies from each other, learn from each other, so that we can be more efficient and deliver the results we're looking for.
Reiterating government's resolve to protecting the rights of women and girls, Deputy Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Gifted Chumampofu, said her outfit is working tirelessly to ensure victims of sexual violence get justice.
Currently, the ministry, through the Domestic Violence Secretariat, has inaugurated the reconstituted Domestic Violence Management Board to ensure the smooth implementation of various sections of the Domestic Violence Act.
Former First Lady Nana Konadu Rawlings noted there's still more to do to win the fight against gender-based violence.
I like the way the president is pushing the gender issue. I'm happy with the way the gender ministry is working. We have a lot of women who are in positions who keep talking about gender, women. So these are positive things. If it will translate into reality for us, it is all of us to help them to do that. If you ask my opinion, the president should put 70% cabinet ministers as women.
Health Minister Kwekwa Jimamenu hinted clinical psychologists will soon be posted to every hospital in the country to help counsel patients who may have been violated. For Joy News, Faustina Safo.
This is Joy News Prime.